Hi, this is Julie with Beadaholique, and today I want to show you how to bead embroider a bezel row around a cabochon. In this example here, you'll see we already have a cabochon, which is glued to Lacy stiff stuff, and we've done a single row of bead embroidery using 2 bead backstitch along the exterior perimeter of the cabochon. So to do the bezel row, what we're going to do is we're going to take size 15-0 beads. You can use 14 as well. But I want to show you a comparison. For the base row, where we did around the cabochon, it was size 11-0. So as you can see, there's quite a size difference, and that's what we want because we want to continue the nice dome shape of the cabochon. And the bezel row is going to fit right here between the base row and the cabochon itself. So I've already gone ahead and I've threaded about 40 inches of thread onto my beading needle. So I want to show you a different way to begin your beading as well. So instead of tying a knot on the end of my beading thread, I'm just going to let it be loose, and I'm going to take my needle and I'm going to carefully insert it between my beaded row and the cabochon, so right in that crevice. I'm going to pull my thread through, leaving a tail of about 5-6 inches. And I'm going to start just the same way I began my other row. I'm just going to pick up 2 beads onto my beading needle, and I'm going to go ahead and conceptualize where they are going to lie. So I want to go ahead and move over about a space of 2 beads, and I'm putting my needle right down into that crevice between my base row and my cabochon. Just going to pull through. I'm going to do the same thing I did before. If you watched the video on 2 bead backstitch, I'm going to now go up into my beadwork, again in that valley between my first row and my cabochon, and I'm going to pull, but I'm not going to pull tight. And I'm going to show you what happens if I was to pull tight. You see it's distorting my base row a bit, so I don't want to pull tight. I want them to just kind of sit on top there. I'm going to go through the 2 I just embroidered. My thread knotted a little bit. I can just work it out though, it's not a true knot. There we go. I'm going to pull that down, and they're just sitting on top. If you can see this from the side, they're just sitting on top of my second row in that well. So now I'm going to go ahead, pick up 2 more beads onto my needle. Again, I'm going to visualize where they're going to fall, place my needle in that valley, pull through, and now I'm going to go back up, and I'm going to go through 3 beads. So sew on 2, go back through 3, sew on 2, go back through 3. Just be careful of your tension. You want them to sit on top of that other row you already strung. You don't want to pull them down so they distort it, but you also don't want them to be hovering loosely up there either. When you get into this, you'll see what I'm talking about. And again, 2 beads. And then back through 3. And you're going to go all the way around your entire cabochon like this. And you can see how that's starting to look. I've almost completed my entire bezel round, and I want to show you how to finish it. So I've got just a little bit of a gap left. I'm going to continue the same process. I'm going to add 2 beads. Stick that needle down into that crevice area. Go back through 3. So I've got just a small gap left, and at this point you have to make a judgment call. Is that a 1 bead or a 2 bead gap? I'm going to call this a 1 bead gap, so I'm just going to add 1 bead. I'm going to put my needle down in between that crevice, but right up against that first bead I started on. Pull my needle down through. Go up through again 3 beads. going to go through 3 beads. And since this is my last round, I actually am going to want to go all the way around all the beads again. So I could just pull my thread through and go through the 3 beads, or if I can catch more, since I'm going to have to be doing a round anyways, I'm going to just go through as many beads as I can, pull my thread, go through the next bead. You don't want to skip over any beads, you want to make sure you go through all of them. You can see what I'm doing. I'm actually pulling this thread a little bit, and that's creating a little bit more of a gap for me to get my needle in between my beads. You might find that helps, because it can be a little bit hard, especially when you're working with these very tiny beads, to find that entry point. So I'm just pulling it down a little bit, not distorting the beadwork at all, but just exposing the hole a little bit more. I'm going to check my back to see where exactly I started. Remember, we had this tail that we didn't tie a knot. So I'm going to show you what to do with it. So just kind of judge where that is. You want to make sure you're definitely going around all the beads though. All right, I've come all the way around. At this point, if my beads allow, I can actually do another pass through if I wanted to. That's optional. I mean, these are on here and they're secure, and you see you've got a nice even round. So I'm going to call it good. But if you want, you can definitely go through again. So right where my needle came out, I'm going to press down through, and you can tell I'm coming out very close to my starting point. Check my beadwork, make sure I'm happy with it. Now this is how you're going to tie it off. You're going to just cut your thread so you don't have quite as much. Get rid of that needle, and we're just going to make a knot. So first off, just a simple overhand knot. Get my fingers out of the way so you can see it just was under over. Pull that down, and now I'm going to do a surgeon's knot. I'm going to take one, go over it and under, and then again under. So I've got a double almost. Pull that tight. If you want to, you can even do another knot, but you don't have to. That's going to hold it. I'm going to take my thread zapper, pull my ends so I can see them, make sure my knot is tight, which it is, and zap off my threads. And there you go, and that is how you make a bezel row in bead embroidery.